G'day everyone, welcome back to another edition of Guvs Hero Review videos. We are continuing our zombie series, today taking a look at the 5-star legendary blue heroine, NOX, the speed freak zombie. So NOX is available for summons, as we saw briefly there, from the ZombieOutbreak portal, which comes around once every 12 weeks. It is on a monthly or roughly monthly time slot, but because it alternates with 2 other events, we only see it once every 3 months into the game. The zombie family and the portal has a bit of a convoluted past. Originally, there were only 5 heroes in the game, 5 zombie heroes, and you could only summon them or achieve them by cashing in zombie badges, which were a reward from a spec op that came around once every 15 or 30 days or something. In May 2021, though, SCG overhauled the entire thing. They basically pulled those zombie badges out of existence and added in the 30-stage event and portal we have today, and then banged in another 14 heroes to the portal. They then upgraded that portal again in September 2022 and again in March 2023 with some additional heroes. And NOX was added during the September 2022 release. So quite a long time after the OGs, which were back in like 2019 or something. The portal itself, if we take a quick look at those odds, we do see that the portal has 1.2% chance for a for a legendary event hero. There is no featured or unfeatured heroes, which does mean that the odds are slightly diminished compared to those portals. It's 1.2 versus like 1.6% on some of those portals, so a little bit lower. But anyway, if we were to put that in perspective and we were to do 100 summons in this portal costing you 30,000 gold, you would have a 70.1% probability of gaining a legendary zombie hero. But if we were going after someone specific, say NOX, we would have only a 10.3% probability of gaining NOX from those 100 summons. Or basically 9 in 10 people that do 100 summons won't get the specific hero that they are summoning for. Her artwork, if we flip over to my roster and scroll to the medic class heroes, we can see this is NOX's artwork. So being titled NOX, she literally has nitrous oxide and NOX written on her backpack. She is essentially another flamethrower zombie, so similar to Ember in that regard, although I will say Ember is probably superior as a hero and does a better job of flamethrowing. But anyway, NOX is doing something similar. She's got some freaky hairstyle going on. It's almost like she's underwater, which doesn't make any sense for a flamethrower, but anyway, that's NOX's artwork. Feel free to pause it if you wish. Actually, no, she's not underwater. She's up in the air. That NOX has got a booster pack on it. Huh. But anyway, I don't know. Whatever. That's her artwork. Feel free to pause it and examine if you wish, but I will just continue on with the review because otherwise I'm going to get in a bit of a head spin there. So her special skill, or rather her family bonus, is a zombie hero. So as with all of the zombie heroes, she is granted a 50% reduction to turn-based status effects, the damage that she would normally get from those. So things like burn, bleed, poison and all of that, they are going to do 50% less damage to NOX as well as all of the other zombie heroes. There is also a bonus for having multiple unique heroes in the battle, so this is a plus 3, 6, 9 or 12% attack bonus for having 2, 3, 4 or 5 unique zombie heroes in the fight. Notably, they do have to be unique heroes. It can't be 2 copies of NOX. It's got to be 2 different heroes, like combining NOX with Shocker or NOX with Melter as 2 different examples. In terms of her personal stats, NOX comes in with 679 attack, 741 defense, and 1,526 HP. So there is a little bit of a skew going on there from that attack towards the defense stat and a bit to the HP, but mostly towards that attack stat is where the skew is. It's probably only 20 or 30 points, so just not a huge skew. But the other thing to point out, her power, it is high compared to the original zombie heroes. So most of the zombies are like 780, 784 or something. So NOX is at 711. So she has got a higher stat distribution, but she is reduced to some of the more modern heroes like Topaz at 742. So the power just means she's got less base stats essentially to assign to the 3 categories. Her speed is set to 48 speed, which is average and requires 11 tiles to charge. So it's the slower bracket of average. And 11 tiles means there is 6 ghosted tiles as the alternative to charge. The speed break does occur at 50 speed, so you can do that just by giving her +2. So you can do that using any of the blue speed guns in the game. You've got the Ice Breath Saw or the Regalizer Magnum. Both of those give you +9. The double speed break occurs at speed 58, so that does need a +10 improvement. So you can't do that using weapons alone. However, if you do combine the +9 speed gun with the 2% class node that you get at +19, you do actually get that double speed break down to 9 tiles to charge. So the class node is situationally beneficial. It will get you the double break if you combo it with a +9 speed gun. On the topic of her class, Nox is a member of the Medic class, which grants her the chance to heal all of her allies for 7% health after receiving any damage during a turn. So it is a very handy perk, as it's basically free healing for all of her allies. The downside is that it only procs once a turn, so you can take 15 instances of damage, but you'll only get 1 healing spray. The damage itself, it can be any source. It can be tiles, minions, fiends, DOT, any of those sort of things. They will initiate the chance to proc the healing spray. In terms of an actual emblem path, for Nox, I would go a defense and HP route. This is congruent with pretty much my recommendation on most healers. It is going to give her additional survival, and survival at the end of the day is king for healers. You want your healers to survive as long as they can to be able to heal as much as they can. So what this looks like on the talent tree is something like this. I personally go defense over HP when I have the choice. Just that's the way I tend to go. But you can go either way ultimately. So yeah, that's what I would do. The 19 node is valuable for Nox because she does get that double break, although she isn't a great hero. So you might not want to commit that many emblems to her, but that's the path I would follow. As I said though, it is, you know, personal preference whether you take HP or defense. You know, you might go HP at one side and defense at the other side. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it doesn't change much in the damage calculation and anything like that. It comes out as being roughly the same benefit. So you can pick and choose whichever works best for you. So that's the talent tree. Feel free to pause it if you wish, but otherwise, let's head back to the roster and we can take a look at her special skill. So her special skill... Pardon me, I'm losing my voice a little bit. Her special skill is titled Nitrous Oxide Overdrive, and at level 10 skill and 48 charge speed, it will burn all allies for minus 240 HP over 3 turns. It will then regenerate 342 HP over 3 turns for all allies, and regenerate a moderate amount of charge for all allies over 3 turns. So, I will break it down a little bit and we will get to each of the elements. Normally I do like heal and damage first, but for Nox, I'm going to go in the order that it's written on this skill card. So we're going to start with the burn element. So all enemies receive 240 damage over 3 turns. So 240 over 3 turns is 80 damage per turn. This is low. Most 5-star DOT heroes, so burn, poison, bleed, and all of that, most of them are doing 309 over 3 turns, which is 103 HP tick per turn. So Nox is lower than them. She is congruent with some of like the 4-star vanilla heroes, like Astrid is doing 240 over 3 turns. So there are other examples of 240 in the game, but the sort of benchmark for 5-star heroes is that 309 over 3 turns. This is also her only damage source, so it is a little bit annoying that it's tied to an ailment, because it does mean that it can be cleansed or withstood or resisted, and you won't get that damage output. So I personally would have preferred this to be much higher. If anything, I think the DOT should have been higher than standard. So either 412 over 4 turns, or doing like the Blaze element maybe would have been really cool to see on Nox. But in any case, she is doing a smaller burn per turn and a smaller total burn than if she just had like a 150 or 200% damage, direct damage in her skill. So yeah, a little bit of a sub start off, but you know, maybe she gets better. So we'll move on to a HP regeneration. So this is where all allies regenerate 342 health over 3 turns. So For Nox, this does actually work out quite okay. So if we have a look at this chart, we can see that I've got all of the blue healers and pseudo healers in the game, and Nox is coming in there at number 5 of the 11 options that we have. So she's coming out with a heal per tile of 109. So how I calculate that is I take the heal, or the total heal that the hero does, multiply it by the range. So in the case of Nox, it's 5 allies, and then divide it by the 11 tiles to charge a skill. So that's how we come out with that heal per tile. Sorry, not 109, it's 155. Misspoke. So yeah, 155 does land her at 5th of the 11 options. So it is equal to Variant Bridget, although Variant Bridget is armor over time and Nox is heal over time. So I do prefer the heal over time. If we expanded it out to look at all of the pseudo and direct healers in the game, so everyone that does health or minions or armor, Nox comes in at equal 17th with Variant Bridget and Variant Throttle. They all come in at about 155 heal per tile. So yeah, 17 of 52 is actually pretty good. It's in the upper half. It's sort of towards the top end of it's in the top 33% or top third. So not a bad healer. It is an interesting little combo of having heal and DOT, both of them as over time effects. But yeah, as always with heal over time, the big downside is obviously that it is a buff-based thing. It's not immediate. So is the chance that it can be dispelled or shell-shocked or even stolen, and then you won't get the full effect. 342 is the upper end of the options. There are a couple that are better. So like Variant Pal, Variant Dash are coming at 399. But 342 is the second highest heal over time in the game. So there is that is going for her. Senya is another 5-star that does a AoE 5 or a heal 5 heal over time for 342 over 3 turns. So pretty good option for the healing. As I said, the main downside is that it is an over time effect rather than an immediate instantaneous heal. The final part of her skill is the charge regeneration. So all allies regenerate a moderate amount of charge over 3 turns. So this is effectively passive charge generation. So you get a fixed amount of charge per turn, and all allies will get the same amount of charge per turn. I do want to say that with moderate, I have done a fair bit of testing on Nox. I did mention a very comparable hero, which is Xenia. Both of them do moderate charge to all allies over 3 turns. But my testing has revealed that the phrase moderate charge or a moderate amount of charge is not a consistent phrase. So what I mean by this is that the moderate charge on Nox is not the same as the moderate charge that is generated by Xenia. So on Nox, it roughly works out to being about 1.5 charge units per turn is what the heroes regenerate. By comparison, Xenia is dealing 4.55 charge units per turn. So Nox is doing a lot less charge compared to Xenia. Sorry, slight correction there. Those numbers are total. So Nox is giving 1.5 charge units total, but Xenia is giving 4.55 charge units in total as what is called moderate charge. So for comparison, what that means is that Nox is only doing 15% of her total charge unit requirements, but Xenia, by comparison, is doing 38% of her own charge unit requirements. So we can see just straight off the bat, Nox's moderate charge is vastly inferior compared to Xenia's. It is a lesser version, even though both of them stipulate it as being moderate charge. There are a couple extra things that I will point out here. So my testing has shown that the moderate charge is not skill level dependent. So I tested Nox at 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, and 10 out of 10 skill. And in each case, it resulted in exactly the same charge units per turn. So there's no, at least between 8 and 10, there's no change for those additional levels. It's still giving off the same amount of charge per turn or in total. The other thing to note is that it is a fixed amount of charge units per turn, so all heroes will gain the same charge units regardless of what their speed is. So what this means is that fast heroes, they require less charge units to get 100%, so they actually receive a higher percentage from the moderate charge compared to a slow hero. So what I mean by this is that a fast hero who needs 8 tiles to charge, 1.5 charge units is 18.75%. As compared to a slow hero who needs 12 tiles to charge, the 1.5 charge units is just 12.5%. So after receiving Nox's buff, a slow hero of 12 tiles will get 12.5%, but a fast hero will get 18.75%. But both of them receive exactly the same amount of charge units. It's just one needs less to get to 100%. So yeah, anyway, in the short of it, what my point is here is that even though they have the same wording, and it does appear elsewhere as the same wording of moderate charge, it is not a consistent quantity, is what moderate charge is. I have not found any link that is consistent on moderate charge. It's not the same number of charge units. It's not the same proportion of charge units. I genuinely don't actually know what it is to get the same thing. So one thought that I did have as to why Nox is actually substantially lower compared to Senya was maybe Nox was originally coded to be a much faster hero, but was reduced in her speed prior to release. So if she was like a very fast hero needing only 6 tiles to charge, her moderate charge would be 25% of her base charge units, which is much more reasonable compared to the 15% she has now. The other alternative is that Ksenia might have been even slower on her initial coding, but was bumped. I don't know what the case is, but in either scenario, Senya is giving off 38% versus Nox giving only 15%. So anyway, just something to bear in mind. So overall, I actually was really excited by Nox when she first came out. Passive charge is pretty wicked. Heal over time, it's not ideal compared to direct heal, but it is actually the best, like one of the best forms of heal over time. And then the burn is just what it is. So unfortunately though, in practice, it is a lesser moderate charge that she generates, and it does kill her usefulness quite a lot. The small burn and lack of direct damage or otherwise effects doesn't really help anyways to improving her skill. So yeah, how I personally would go about improving Nox would be, number 1, fix her moderate charge, make it equivalent to Senya's, and number 2, I would improve her burn dramatically. Like I'd say, bump it up to either being like a 4-turn duration for the 103 damage, or even just make her a 426 over 3 turns. So make her actually a really good burner, or, you know, you might even be able to give her another effect, like giving her direct damage or a cleanse or a dispel or something like that. But as it is now, you saw I do have Nox leveled. I have her at 100%, but I don't really use her much other than as a bit of a gimmick and a fun hero to use in DOT heavy raid teams. And even then, it's barely ever. So yeah, for Nox's grading, I am going to give her only a C+ for attack. She still does healing. She still does free charge. It's not great on either option. There are better options, but she still does both of those things. For War Machines, I'm going to give her a D+ on attack. For War Machines, I'm going to give her a D+. She's not a War Machine hero. And similarly for Eventing, I'm going to give her a D grade. Neither of these areas are where she shines. She's not giving off massive amounts of damage. She's not helping in either of those formats. So I don't see her having much use in either of those arenas. For defense purposes, for war and raid defenses, I'm going to give her a C-, possibly workable as a flank hero. Again, she does burn, she does passive heal, she does passive charge generation, so she does tick a number of the boxes, but I wouldn't say she's a great option to include in a defense team. For the 3 tournament settings, so in Bloody Battles, I'm going to give her a C+ and a C-. She loses the healing, but she is still doing the passive charge, and she is still also doing burn, and there's less cleanses involved. So I'm not changing her grading much there at all. For the Buff Booster tournament setting, I'm going to give her a B and a C+ for attack and defense. She generates a lot of buffs for all of her allies. She generates 2 buffs to each ally, so that is a 40% attack bonus for them under that tournament rule set. So a bit of an improvement there. And then finally, in the charge tournament, she goes from 48 speed up to 65, so she does get a speed improvement. So I'm going to give her a B- for charge tournament attack and a C grade for charge tournament defense. And overall, that comes out as being a C grade for her overall attack grade and a C grade for her overall defense grade. And that about concludes the content that I have for this review of Nox. As always, these are just my personal thoughts and opinions on these heroes. I do love hearing your thoughts and feedback, so feel free to jump down to the comments section and leave me a note. I try to read and respond to as many of you as I can. If you did enjoy the content of the video and found it to be good and useful, feel free to like the video, subscribe to my channel, but most importantly, share the video around, because chances are, if this sort of thing is useful for yourself, it's also going to be useful to the people you play with as well. Thank you once again for tuning in and joining me. I do hope I will see you again soon, but until then, good luck, stay safe, and happy gaming. Cheers, bye!